Hi, welcome to the Shelly Studio and my 100-day project. I'm on day 61 and I've got some subtle colors to work with today. I think this is a piece of paper that had Brared off paint and then I did a stencil on it. I don't know, just random stuff. And I'm not even using the stencil spot. I am going for the plainer side and keep some of that gold. I think it's gold. It's got sparkle to it, which doesn't show really on the camera, but yeah, it's gold. Then I had this piece of deli paper. Figured I would tear a strip off of that just to add more layers. I know it's getting hard to come up with unique ideas. The one I'm working on today, well, it might be tomorrow's because I just covered it with tissue because I didn't like it, and it's got to dry for a while. We'll see if it turns out, it'll be filmed. If it doesn't turn out, well, I just might have to make a new one for that day. It's going to be tomorrow. I'll have to do something different for today. Oh yes, and I'm not recording this at midnight like usual. I'm starting a little earlier. It's 7 p.m. I think I decided to add a little bit of fabric. I've got this fabric that's been hanging out for a while, and I need to use it. I need to be making me some tags so I can put ribbon on it. I guess it's ribbon. It's scraps of fabric anyway. Or maybe a junk journal. I know a lot of people put the little fabric on the junk journal. Only I don't have a sewing machine that's working, so it would be glued or stapled. Alright, I think I have all my pieces together finally. And now we're going to glue it all down with my glue stick. My trusty glue stick. Well, I'm on, day 61, and day 1 has not come undone, so the glue stick's holding up. Of course, the first few days were done with Elmer's Extreme, which you can't get anymore. And then this current one, I think, is Yoo-Hoo. And now I found another Elmer's that's called, well, it just says sticks to more surfaces, and it's 2 times stronger. Thought maybe it would work. It's a little bit messier. I don't know if it's messier or if it's because it's purple and I can see it going on. But it seems messier. Alright, we're going to add that ribbon, and then I'm going to grab this one of my pressed leaves. And I just like the shape that it made when it dried. And doing the thing I've been doing to all my dried ones. Putting some matte medium on everything, then adding a little bit of glue, sticking it down, and then pushing it down with matte medium on my paintbrush. Just to make sure it's all covered and it's not going to crumble. And that's day 61. I actually quite like this one. What do you think? You can see the bumps that formed from the matte medium and stuff on my dried leaves, but okay, so this one, I don't know. I have this ink that I hardly ever use, and it's like if you use it on the right stuff, like if you use it on rice paper, something that's kind of absorbent, you get black with a gold edge, or gold with a black edge. I think it's gold with a black edge. But if you use it on something like, I think this is just mixed media, it's a smooth paper. I don't know, I cut up so many books of paper that I had to do 100. I don't know which one this is exactly. It stays mostly black, but if you look at it at an angle, you can see a little bit of the gold shimmer. And I just wanted to play with it. I just wanted to play with it. And this one is not out of any of my packs of paper. Well, this piece of paper is. I did one of those NeuroDoodle things just for the heck of it over the top of one of my photocopies of a gel print, and decided that that would be interesting. So I decided to use it. So I'm just going to actually tear out a segment of it, because we don't want to cover up my brush strokes too much. And then, oh, apparently I thought I had to tape it down. Sorry, I usually try to edit that out, and I must have missed it or just forgot. So we're going to glue that right there. It's kind of cool, right? I actually quite like this one. Probably because I'm not using any of the stuff I've been using. So I've got my NeuroDoodle on there, trying to make it straight. Oh, I have a hard time with straight lines. And then just going through, I decided the feather kind of looks like one of those strokes of paint, so it kind of goes with the paper. So I'm going to use the feather, and I think that's, do I have any? Oh, I have one more feather in this set of videos, actually. I haven't found any new ones lately. So I glue that on, and you don't see, I use a glitter pen and draw a line off of the feather at the bottom there. So that was day 62. On to day 63. So I was still in the paint mood, but different. No idea why I wanted to just do those weird streaks with a stencil brush. But I had pulled out this paper, this black and white, and then that red, and thought that we would put those together. So at this point, you can see I combined my days because you can see the feather I used in yesterday's project sitting there. I think what I do is I glue those down and then put weight on it and go work on day 61, 62. Yeah. It helps to leave the glued down pieces under some weight for a while for them to dry. So I've kind of been starting the next day a day ahead and then figuring out the nature the next day, which is probably weird because you probably look at them and think they were totally designed around the piece of nature, but they're not. In fact, after I put this together, then I'm like, oh, I know what I want to do for this page. I want to do a homemade paintbrush, like a nature paintbrush. So that's what I'm going to do. And you'll see me do it. I think I show it. It was kind of hard. So it is my grapevine paintbrush because it's a segment of wood that actually came from the grapevine. I was trying to pick out a piece of wood here, but I end up with a segment, one of those weird segments that come off the grapevines. They're interesting. And then all the messy stuff is the bark off of a grapevine. Like the bark, it sheds its bark in the wintertime, and so I just grabbed a bunch of that was peeling off. And so I'm just going around the end of this stick and I'm gluing on sections of the bark. And I'm just going around. I'm going to go around a few times and then I'll take some twine and tie it off so that it will stay. And no, I didn't ever try using it as a real paintbrush. Just did this kind of for fun. I actually made a bunch a few years ago and I did an art piece for that. If I remember, I'll link it. I'll try to remember if I can find it. I really liked that piece, actually. I have it somewhere. I had it on display for a long time. Now I think it's with the rest of my art on file. So I put some glue on there just to hold the twine, and then yeah, I'm just gonna tie it, and that's our paintbrush. It probably would have made some interesting marks. We will never know because it's glued down now. So once I do it, I decide that it has to look used. So I'm gonna, I think, I grabbed some paint. I can't even remember what I did back on day 63. So that's how it's gonna be. And I'm just putting some paint out here. Adding a little bit of water. And then just getting the ends painted so it looks used, and then I'm just gonna glue it down just like that. And that is day 63. It almost looks like a witch's broomstick, I know. That's my paintbrush. Okay, so day 64. This stick is also the grapevines. Okay, I have a lot of grapevines in the backyard. I get a lot of grapes. So this little vine was holding the stick, like, tightly in its hand. So it looks like an arm holding a stick or something. And so to contrast between the vine, the tendril, and the stick part, I'm painting the stick gold. Hoping that it'll show up and you can see the difference. It's subtle. It's not as contrasty as I had hoped, but I didn't want to paint both things. I wanted part of it to be natural. So here's my selection. I've got these blue pieces, and I had that jelly print that I've had for a while, and it's cardstock, so I'm going to use the glue on it to glue it down. And I had to cut it with my paper trimmer. It kind of looks like lights in the distance and water in the foreground. So sort of like lights reflecting, I guess. That was one of those unintentional sort of landscape jelly prints. So this one I think it was a cleanup print, and it has like these subtle spheres on it. And I thought that would be cool to have a few spheres. And I did that one, and it's way too big. Save it for later. Okay, so I have these other ones, some partials, a couple of whole ones, and we're going to just have all these planets. So yeah, once I decide how I'm going to lay it out, we'll glue it down. Yep. I decided that's it. So that weird piece of paper on the left-hand side doesn't need to be used. It could be a sky full of planets or moons. Sky full of moons. Kind of like in Star Wars. Okay, there was only 2, but you know, I like me some Star Wars. Once I get them down, I decide they aren't standing out quite enough. So I am going to pull out a white paint pen. This happens to be an Arteza paint pen. And I'm just gonna, I put a little bit and then I blot with my finger just so it doesn't look like a solid line and more like a highlight. Some of them look like lines, but that was the idea. Okay, so I've got my planets or moons, and now we're just gonna add our stick, our alien arm holding a staff, because we are on an alien planet, right? I just have to weight it down so that there's enough contact so it stays pretty good. Alright, so that was day 64. And I actually got 5 in on this particular recording. So this last one, quite a contrast from, well, from most of them. It's kind of pastel colors. Maybe the first one of this series had some lighter colors. But the papers I pulled out were just a pretty, I don't know, spring vibe, right? So I decide I'm going to put one of these spirals on there. Trying to decide if I wanted one with more white or one with more yellow. I went for the more white. And I did tore around it. You didn't need to see that. It's cardstock, so it's also going to get glued down with the glue. Glitter glue. And yeah, I keep the book on it to keep it flat. You don't see that, but it was there for a while. And then I decide that maybe a piece of brown paper. I have lots of brown paper. So I'm just tearing it, trying to decide what I want it to look like, and I decide to go for a triangle. My paper was perforated, so I'm separating them at the perforation. Here I'm deciding whether I want the long one or short one. I go for the short one. And I have this cool twisty twig thing. It's a piece of bark, I think. But I don't end up going with that. I find just a little twisty piece of twig somewhere else. Maybe in my little box. Yeah, that one. Doesn't show up a whole lot, but it's just a little something. Too many things. Too many things in the way on my table, my little miniature table. Someday maybe I'll organize my other room so I can actually use it as a studio and have a regular size table. So I'm just going to take this twine, I'm going to wrap it around the feather and around the stick together. Sorry, I thought I had edited out all this fiddling with the feather, because it took me a minute to get it, figure out how to get it together without struggling so much. Alright, so I've got it tied on there, so now I'm just clipping the strings, the ends. Kind of gluing them down so they're out of the way. And there, it's going to go right there. To add a little bit of glue, and then I'll have to put some weight on it again. I think I just put my scissors on there to hold it down. And that one's done. So I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been a lot of fun. If you liked it, leave me a thumbs up or a comment. And thank you all for watching. Have an awesome day.